Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Maestro Vapes, alright? Today we are looking at the 454 big block rebuildable dripping atomizer from Kryptonite Vapors, man. And this really interested me when I first saw it. I thought the design of it was really cool. And I picked one up. I picked one up as soon as I could. I've been vaping this thing for about a month now, kind of playing around with it, doing different builds on it. And we're going to do a build on it. We're going to check it out, see what it's like. I'm going to do a low-res build on it, so know your limits, vape within it. You could definitely use different types of wire for the build. But there's some cool stuff going on here. Like, it does have the heat sinks. Sure, that's cool. But it's a quad coil dripping atomizer. And the funky thing is, it's got this little O-ring that runs around it. Well, I guess it's like a little seal or a ring that runs around it, which is the negative post. So you could secure your wires anywhere you want, and I've played around with it, and it's pretty neat, okay? The build I'm going to do is I'm going to secure it underneath the screws that are on the actual surrounding deck, but it's going to be a good one. It's going to chuck clouds. The wicking on this, I tried to figure it out. I think I've got it dialed pretty good. The well on it, it's pretty deep. Like, it's pretty deep. It's really cool. It just works. We'll go in, we'll take a look at it, and we'll put a build on it, all that good stuff, and then we'll come back, have a couple more vapes, all right? So check it out. I'm going to make things that are easy look hard. All right, guys? See you in there, all right? All right, the star of the show right here. The box it comes in is really nice, little tin box. It's got a clear little lid in here, window for you to see the atomizer. Bottom of it has your description, all the stuff on there for you to check out. You can read that yourself, I'm sure. Opening this thing up, the box is really nice. It's nice to get it in this thing right here. It adds to the overall presence of the atomizer itself. Pull this thing out of here, you get your atomizer, there it is. Comes with a little bag with a couple extra screws. Now, a lot of people don't give you screws anymore, especially with Authentics, so this is really nice to see. It's well supported in here. It's got this foam in here, really nice. Take this out, nothing underneath it, just this foam block in here, but really protects your atomizer when you get it. 2 screws, put those back in there. We'll get the box out of the way, all right? Comes with a drip tip, okay? Cool thing about it, not a lot of Addies come with drip tips anymore, right? But the cool thing about this drip tip, let me pull this off of here, is the way it works. You're not going to be able to see through that thing because there's no hole on the bottom. There's holes in the side, which helps it to create a vortex inside of the atomizer as you're vaping it. Very cool. Some people don't dig it. They think it restricts your draw. And you know what? Honestly, it does. I've used it. I've liked it with certain builds. With other ones, it's just not quite there for me. A little bit too much heat in a lot of my builds to work well with this drip tip. But overall, it's pretty cool they throw that in, and the design idea on this is super cool, all right? Drip tip out of the way. Let me put this on something so I could start tearing this thing down. I'm gonna put this on the Overdose clone. This is a cheapo clone, but it works, okay? It's got your heat sinks on here, right? Very much like a Tobe, a lot of other atomizers. Heat sinks dissipate some of that heat away from your mouth as you're vaping it, okay? Adjustable airflow on this is cool. It's got 4 holes wide open right now. You can turn this thing, I forget where I am, and I can go to a dual coil setup. Move this one more time. Oh, that was the wrong hole, man. Oh, I think I'm there anyway, on the other side. And you could do this single coil as well, so all your other holes are closed off. So that's pretty cool. But I think this thing really shines in quad coil mode for sure, okay? And take this top cap off. You're going to notice it's got the conical shape in here to give you really, really nice flavor. It's held on here with a single O-ring, which is nice and stiff. I've never had any problems with this guy. Looking down into the Addy itself, thick wall design on this, very thick. Your positive post comes pretty much up to the top, okay? So it's a very reduced chamber in there. It's gonna give you a ton of flavor. It's got this lip in here as well. And how that lip works is, once you've got your Addy on here and juice kind of condensation builds up in your top cap, it will just drip down and off that lip back onto your coils and back onto your cotton. So it's not going to run down the walls of here and then, you know, obstruct your airflow holes with juice, and then you got a juicy mess coming out, or you got a window that's kind of looks like there's a window on it, like a juice window bubble on there. So it voids that quite a bit. Very, very nice. Top cap, pretty cool. I'm going to take this other piece of sleeve out of here. Bam. There's our build deck. We'll look at that in a second. But this is another two-piece, this sleeve right here. If you pull your sleeve off, and this is the main body section. Okay, main body section. It's got a bunch of holes in here. Okay. And how you control this airflow is with these 3 holes. When it's in the center, I believe that's your quad coil. To the left is your dual, and to the right is your single. Maybe I'm off. You know what? Let's figure that out. Okay, in the center is your quad. If I turn it to the left, that would take us into a dual. To the right will put us into single coil. Bam. Let's look at this from the top too and see that conical shape, okay? Conical shape, juice runs down, drips back onto your coil. Pretty sick design, my friends. Very, very sick design. And this guy is just held on with a single O-ring that's on the inside of this sleeve. I've never had any problems with this kind of being too loose. At first it felt a little loose, but once it got juiced up, I think it kind of swelled up a bit, and now it's just perfect, like it's just right. Put that all back together again, all right? The deck. This is pretty cool. I want to show you the bottom, because this is pretty stellar in my opinion right here, okay? The bottom of this guy, it's got your normal 454 made in the USA, but it's got a Canadian flag on this, which I thought was pretty cool for all my Canadian friends out here in Canada, my friends. Typically this will have the KR on it. I think it's on the bottom. It'll have that green kind of KR logo, but it'll be in black. So it'll have the KR 454, but I was pretty hyped about having that flag on there. It was pretty cool when I found this guy. The deck, let me find if I have a pointer here. It's got like a little lip in here, okay? And there's a lip right here to help you position your coils. So if you're building your coils, you're doing a vertical coil, you can get your coil in here, get your screwdriver pressed up against that, and it's gonna be just perfect, okay? I've utilized that, but for the most part, I've been doing kind of slanted coils in here to create that vortex with the top cap and everything, and I find that's working really awesome. The insulator in here, what is this thing called? I think it's an Ultem, ULTEM insulator, and it's rated up to like 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So you shouldn't have problems with melting your insulator. I've been putting some pretty high temperature builds on here. Did a quad 22 gauge Gplat coil. Came in at like 0.08 or something, 0.07. And it bared that for the last 2 weeks. So been pretty awesome for sure. Okay, let's build this thing. Let's do this thing up, okay? But it's a neat atomizer. Like, I really dig the concept, how it works. Dual O-rings holding your sleeve on here, your body on here. I almost forgot about that. And it's kind of slanted right here. It's kind of slanted, so it's not super difficult to put it on. And if you have wire coming out of this deck, it'll go on easy and then grip tight. Does that make sense? And I almost forgot about this thing. How could I almost forget about that? Now I'm knocking stuff over. The whole outside of this is a negative post. So this is your negative all the way outside of here. So it has this ring on here. Let me back off a couple of these screws here, so you could see this a little bit better. Man, I almost forgot. But this is a ring, so you can secure your wire under here. I've built this a bunch of ways. I've had this kind of loose, and I put my negative lead underneath it, put it down. I've taken the whole ring off, and I put my coils where I want them, and then put this ring over top and snugged it down, which isn't the easiest thing. I've been digging building it around the screws. Like the last one I built underneath the ring on here, but I just like building around the screws. I find it's really, really easy for me, okay? The holes in this post are generous. They're 0.06 inch holes, so you could put a bit of wire in there, okay? A bit of wire. I put 2 pieces of 22 gauge through here without a problem. I think you could probably do, you know, 2 pieces of 20 gauge, but if you're putting 2 pieces of 20 gauge in here, you're building a pretty crazy coil for sure, my man, for sure. Continuous strand on this thing is boss. Let's build it, man. Let's build this thing. I love this 454. It is dope. Man, I'm putting this thing all backwards here. That's how she goes. All right, so we're gonna build a Gplat build, okay? Gplat 22 gauge. This thing is going to fog hard. I'm gonna wrap this on a 2mm screwdriver. So 2 millimeters is the equivalent of 5/64 drill bit, okay? I've got a healthy piece. It's probably about 10 inches long right here, okay? I got a little hook in this end, so I'm gonna use that to start up here. I'm doing continuous strand, but in a quad coil, it's gonna have a couple of strands, okay? Gonna go 5 wraps, right? 5 ribbity rip wraps. And tighten this up a little bit. There we go. Then push all that together. Boom, squinch. Boom, squinch. I wonder, I could probably put an extra wrap in here. I've been building it this way. I'm gonna continue on. Actually, I'll try one more. 6 wraps. 6 wraps, okay? Now, got 2 pieces, or I got, you know, 1 piece of wire, 1 coil wrapped. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna put that through one of the post holes in the center positive. Come on, there we go. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is, I'm feeding that through, right? That's like, what do you do from here? Okay, I'm gonna switch around the screwdriver. Okay. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and get this coil on a bit of a slant. Okay, so I'm going to get that into about where I want it. Which I'm going to say right about there on the positive is going to be very good. I'm going to tighten this down. Bingo bango, right? Now, I'm going to put a tiny slant into this. Let's make sure that this negatives back off. All of these need to back off a little bit. There we go. I'll get that one in a sec. So now we got a standard looking coil, right? But I want to put a tip into this. Okay, so what I want to do with this is just tip it onto an angle. Just like that. So that's going to produce that cyclone, that vortex that we're after, that this Addy's made for anyway. Okay? Now I'm just going to grab this leg and I'm going to snug it underneath that negative screw. I'm going to capture it just like if it were like a K-fun. Okay? Exact same concept here. Now, I've been pulling my leg all the way around this, and the reason why I do that is so that there's no little nub on the outside, okay, to get in the way of the cap. I'm going to position that just a little bit while I'm here, just to where I want it. Now we're going to play with this again, but I want to have the bottom of that coil sitting a little bit off of that lip. Okay, that way it's going to help us to put the cotton in there. Because if it's inserted underneath that, it's going to be hard to get your cotton through there and captured with something, whether you're pulling it with tweezers or whatever. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, right? So we got this guy tight. Gplat, just going to give it a snip. There we go. You can kind of push this over, whatever you want, right? Push that piece kind of into that screw. Bada bing, bada boom, right? So there it is. Now, I'm going to replicate this with this other piece of wire, and then we're going to wrap the other ones on the deck itself, okay? So what do we go for there? 6 wraps, right? Let's do that again. 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, 5, and 6, okay? First one's not pretty, but we'll make it pretty. I'm going to give that a little pull as I snug that all together. And there we go. Got another 6 wrap. Actually, where's my pliers? I'm just going to pull that a little bit tighter because it's sitting a bit high. Might as well get it right when we're doing it. Bam. That's all you need. Okay, same thing. When we put it in, we're going to have to switch our screwdriver around, right? Well, let's just switch it right now. Boom. Okay, now we can feed it wherever we want here. It's going to back off that center screw so that we could feed this wire through here, through the other post hole, right? Might have to work it in there. There we go. But it'll go. Should go. There we go. Alright. Feel like a lounge singer talking like that. Alright, guys. Trying to feed the wire through that post. Now I lost my screwdriver and I'm fumbling here. Let me get that back for you. Alright. So, I'm just going to line it up and try and get that leg about as far as the other one was. Okay? Now I'm going to snug this center post up, and we are not going to have to touch the center post at all again in this build. Right? Get that nice and tight. There it is. Okay? Same thing with this coil. We just want to tilt that on a bit of an angle. Bit of an angle. Alright? And then capture that wire underneath this screw, which is tight. That was that other one. I'll hold that screwdriver where I want it. I'm going to get that wire wrapped around. Okay? And we're going to have to do some, pinching to get this coil looking good, but it will look good. I promise you that. Alright, that didn't get captured well. And that's sometimes a problem when you're using thicker wire under these screws. The last time I did this build, I did it underneath the underneath that ring, and it worked awesome. Like, it worked so good. But it was a little harder to wick. Fuck. That in there. It's still not sitting, man. What the hell? Okay. One more time. As I stab myself. That where I want it. If it would stop moving, that would be just boss. Okay, so I'm going to get that. I'm going to capture it underneath there. Snug that up. Alright, there we go. We're under. Okay. I'm going to cut that piece again. Get rid of it. Tilt that how I want it. Actually, that's looking pretty much how I want it anyway. Okay. Pull that screwdriver out. I'm just going to jam that little tip inward a bit. There it is. Okay. Now, the other guys we just wrap like continuous strand. Okay. So I'm going to take my screwdriver. What's not in my way? This one would probably be better to do first. Okay. So I'm going to move that one out of the way. Start wrapping, right? Just like you normally would. 1, 2. That was the third one. Going in for the fourth. Going in for the fifth, right? And that's going to make our sixth right here. Okay. You might need to push this all together. Am I going way off camera? Sorry, guys. I have a habit of not paying attention to what I'm doing and just kind of build. But that gets me through the day, right? So now I've got my 6 wraps. Bam, into the camera she goes. Okay, you can get this where you want it. Tilt that down and scoop that lead underneath there. Okay. Booyakashan. Now, get that under, give that a good snug, and then I'm going to tighten it up. Right, there it is. She's sitting under there. Fairly pretty. I'm just going to pry on this and make sure that it, doesn't come loose there. Because it's easy to get shorts. Okay, it's easy to get shorts when you're building quad coils. Alright? I'm going to make sure that's going to stay in there. Because at no point in this coil's life do I want this thing to come off. Alright? 3 down, 1 to go, right? Pretty easy at this point. Just gonna push that little piece over. Now you could, if you were using Cantball for this, it'd be easier to just kind of twist and pop those off and break those. But with Gplat, I find it a lot harder, personally. Repeating the process. 2, 3. My 4th, going in on my 5th, and then the 6th, and we done. There it is. And squinch those up just a bit, and we can go in and tighten up our last one. And that's it, man. That's it. Like, it's pretty easy to get this build done. Once you kind of figure out how you like it, you're not going to swap this build out anyway for, a little while. Push that in a bit. That screwdriver out of the way. So I can back this screw out just a bit. Okay. Now I'm going to tip it. Tip that down. While you tip it down, that wire gets captured. and then pull it into place, right? This mod kind of sucks to build. Hold on. That's my new mod, so I'm playing with it. It's not weighted well. Okay, capture that up. There it is, man. There it is. And clip that little excess off. Whoa. Don't want to step on that in the middle of the night. Get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to dry fire all of these at the same time. Just going to get my position kind of where I want it. Okay, just double check all my connections. I always do that. Bam. Make sure everything's feeling good and tight. Check that positive one. Nice and tight, right? Everything looks about where I want it. Some of them you might want to slant a little bit. That one will have to push a little bit. That one we could slant up just a little bit. And that one's looking fairly nice right there. So it's just all going to create this vortex, all right? Let's check the resistance before we start firing this thing. Make sure that there are no shorts. I'm using this ohm reader that reads 0.05 ohms too high typically, so there we go. You good? Alright, so it reads 0.05, too high. So we gotta subtract 0.05 and it comes in at 0.07 is what the actual resistance is gonna be on this, okay? If that makes sense. My new ohm reader is probably getting shipped tomorrow. So I ordered it on Saturday. I guess it would be today that it's getting shipped. Alright, let me try and fire this bad boy up. Now this is Gplat, right? So slow and steady wins the race on firing this stuff here. And I just work my way around it all. Till I'm happy with it. That's it. Trying to get away from that negative post on some of these. There we go. But I'm going to tell you, this thing chucks when you get her going, man. Woo, careful. Deck gets hot. Oh, I loosened this off. There we go. I'm going to do a little bit more positioning. There we go. Nice and snug all these coils are, though. Like, nice and tight. Yeah, I'm just trying to get the pitch to kind of where I'm happy with it. And even if it has little bits of gaps in your coils, it's not that big a deal. Well, that one's a little bit loose. You can tighten it up if you want. Okay. There it is, man. Just gonna pull this one out a bit because it's not looking where I want it. And I'm kind of anal. Paster, go on, man. Stop being a dink. Thank you. Alright, that's how it's gonna look, man. Oh yeah, let me just pinch a couple of these up. That one for sure. Oh yeah, buddy. But it starts to look like this weird little flower or something once it's done. And trust me, it hucks clouds just so good, man. Alright, I'm going to let this cool for a minute, guys. Coming right back. Alright, guys, I got 4 wicks kind of started up here. I do them the normal way I do. I just took a cotton ball. I used the Gplat cotton, which ended up being a mess once I peeled it all apart. But I took a piece, ripped it in half, and then I made 4 wicks out of it. Does that make sense? They look kind of fluffy and big, but really they're not that big at all. This has cooled off a little bit, but you're not going to want to do this build on a mod that you're not, you know, like a stainless mod or something that does not conduct well. Because even when I'm using this overdose, the body gets a little bit warm. Like the battery is okay, but it transfers a lot of heat, especially from a quad coil at this lower resistance with this wire. So you can do this build with 26, 28, 30 gauge, whatever you want, you know? I actually intended to do this with tiger wire, but the tiger wire is a little difficult to get through the center post holes. I had 26 gauge tigers, and to kind of get them into that center post hole, 2 pieces, is really difficult. Okay? You want this to be kind of loose, all right? Not super tight. Now what I do with this cotton is I just leave a tiny little bunny tail up here, just like that, okay? Kind of about to the height of the center post, all right? With this one, cut a little tail, all right? I'm going to show this if you don't want to stick around for all of this. Typically, I just put all the cotton in and then do this at the end, but for those of you guys in a rush, maybe you want to shoot to the end of the video, watch some clouds off of her, you can do that, okay? Then I just jam that cotton into there, just have a little bit of it underneath there, and that's it. That's all there is, okay? Then repeat the process. Once you juice this up, you might want to kind of separate the wicks as well. Okay? We'll repeat the process a couple more times. Maybe I should speed it up. What do you think about that? Yeah, let's do that. All right. So now I got this Rasta guy working here, and yeah, we're gonna have to clip off some of this stuff. I just sped that up because it's kind of dull to watch all that. All right, so I'm just gonna cut a little bit to the outside of the deck on the pieces that are gonna be going into the drip well, right? A little bit in there. just a bed of cotton to kind of sit on, right? So that one's actually a bit too much. We'll take a little bit more off. A little bit more off, okay? So then you're left with something like that. Okay? Now, I just do a scoop to the right and then jam it in. Just push that underneath. That's gonna be nice, man. Trust me. Get that in there. Same goes here. And you don't want your cotton to be super tight in the coils, okay? You just want it to go in firm, but not, you know, choking out. Because this is gonna need a good amount of juice flow running through it. So you don't want to choke that out, okay? Now, same thing with these guys, like I cut that one short, doing the same thing. Just rinse and repeat. Okay. But that guy, where are you at? Okay, something like that. But it all depends on the size of the bat. I like to pull them straight to the same, you know, line that the coil's on, and then kind of clip there. Okay. Now, let's juice this up. What am I going to put on here? Oh, I'm going to put Juice by Kubrick. I love this dude's custard, man. This guy rocks. Pete, you make some good juice, my man. Now, I'm going to juice this guy up a bit. And I'm still going to kind of position these wicks a little bit. Show you what I mean. Make sure you're playing safe, guys. If you're doing builds, you know, like this one, make sure you're using a battery that can handle it. Make sure it's a healthy battery. Like if you've got some old Sony VTC4s that you've been using for, you know, a year sub-ohming them, get some new ones, man. I cycle mine about every 3 months or so. Just to be on the safe side, you know? Just be safe when you're sub-ohming low, okay? Definitely. Don't be like that dude with the video venting his batteries and... I don't even want to talk about it. Okay? I'm just separating everything here. Just separating these wicks so that there's a little bit flow for the air to kind of run through and not choke the coils, right? That's all I'm doing here. Flow. And then you're creating that vortex that this thing was made for. After you use this a couple of times and drip it, these wicks actually collapse themselves a little bit and they start to look a lot tighter. Like, let me see if I could... Something like that. And that's normal. And that's what you want, you know, that's how you want it. Will kind of collapse. And that's a good thing. Trust me, trust me. Okay, so when it runs down here, I like to have it off the post a bit. This thing's too juiced up right now. Let me fire some of this juice off here. Give it a sec. All right. See what I mean? Then it kind of starts to collapse that a little bit as they heat up. And you want them to separate a bit, Okay. What the? Hey, buddy, stay on your own side there, man. Alright, so I had to pull this off camera a little bit just to kind of separate things, kind of bring it closer to my chest. I try not to do that too often, but, you know, I got it where I wanted it to be, okay? So it starts to look kind of like a 4-leaf clover. I kind of keep the wicks just right beside that center post, but not always touching. They don't have to. It'll run down into the bottom of the juice well, and it will work well for you. It's going to come down, drip, splash onto the top anyway, and the airflow that's created off this wicking is pretty awesome. I like these slanted coils. They work super well for this build. Really, really nice. Let's have a vape off of it. This 454 is a flavor machine, man. It is so nice. All right, let's have a hit. Build this, hit it. That's how we get down, all right? Boom. Man, this 454 works well. I'm going to show you one other cool thing that I found, okay? I've got this iGo W clear cap that I bought somewhere, okay? Forget where, they're really cheap. If you can find one, they fit this guy, okay? I drilled this guy out to about 4 holes times 4, so there's 16 air holes on it. And yeah, it chucks really cool, man. It fits perfectly on this thing. Just perfect, okay? Let me put some more juice on this thing. I love putting this cap on here too, man. Sometimes if you just want to chuck some clouds, it's awesome, man. So good. But it needs about like 12 drops of juice to get it hyped up for about 3 pulls, so it's kind of wasting your juice, right? But let me have a couple of pulls off this thing. There's clouds for days, man. Alright, I'm going to get rid of the cap because it's not really made for it, but it's fun to play with, man. The build I put in here works really well. Super low, you don't have to build it that way, but I'm going to tell you for sure those slanted coils work really good at getting the flow of vapor going in there, especially with that top cap, the way that it's just has that vortex in it. It just works really, really well with the build. If you wick it up with some airflow in between, you can chuck some enormous clouds off of this dripper, man. And the flavor is awesome. One thing, when I got this dripper, it really got me back in tune with flavor builds. I went to like tiger coils and started building tigers and other stuff to try and replicate the flavor that I got from this dripper. And bar none, it's untouched, you know, for flavor. Maybe there's other stuff. The Quicksilver is a pretty good flavor on that dripper as well. I know the Magma is pretty boss for flavor as well, but for the price point, it's fairly affordable. Like you could find these online for like 69 bucks up to about 79 bucks. I think I paid, you know, 80 bucks for it, all said and done. I got this one from Kick Ash Vapes in Niagara Falls. Check them out. They're pretty cool. I'm waiting to get something back, so hopefully I get that back and I can review that for you soon too. But yeah, the 454 kicks. The flavor is amazing. I couldn't recommend this more. Like, it is excellent. Pick one up. It's good. Price point, very nice. You get good packaging. You get some extra screws. You get all that stuff. You get that Ultim insulator that's, you know, rated up to like 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The chances of you melting that are slim to none. Like, I've got a .07 quad coil on here. I vaped the same build on here, although I did put it underneath that ring last time I built it. I've been vaping that for a couple of weeks and had no problems with it. none at all. It works. It just works so well. You can build single coils on it. You could build dual coils on it. But I think it really, really shines when you throw down a quad coil build in it. And it just hits so, so good. All right. Maybe if you wanted to build like a 28 gauge quad Tiger or a 30 gauge quad Tiger in this, it would just be like nothing better. Nothing better. Probably wouldn't want to build anything else on anything else. You just put your favorite juice in there and keep dripping until your heart's content. Okay, very, very nice. You know, like I can't say any more good things about it. Heat wise, the fins work. Like the fins work on it. It's very good. It's not as good as some other stuff. The Tobe works a little bit better with the heating fins, but they're much deeper heat sinks or heat fins in it. So, but it does work. Like I tailpipe, right? The drip tip it comes with is cool. It's a little restrictive for my personal taste, but if you're into doing like mouth to lung hit stuff, then you're gonna dig it. You're going to dig it a lot. A little restricted for me, but it's nice that they throw it in. You know, a lot of companies don't do that anymore. It's turning into like, here's our dripper in a Ziploc bag, and that's what you get. You know, and it's like, I paid $100, man. Really? You know, for this. But yeah, they throw in a lot of goodies. So good on ya. Kudos to Kryptonite Vapors. Kudos to Kick-Ash for having them in stock, man, with the little Canada flag. It's pretty boss, man. The build, it's, you know, I think I made that one look hard. Maybe it's just me in my head when I go back and check it out. Maybe it won't, but you know what? Doesn't have to be super hard. I'm using 22 gauge wire. Like if you use, you know, 24, 26, 28 gauge wire, you're going to be able to capture that a lot easier under those screws. I really should have done that build underneath that ring. You know, that's all I can say. It's been cool chilling out with you guys. Thanks a lot. I think we're going to do a contest coming up soon. I forgot to mention the 500 subscribers. The guy who won it was Eric Weston. He was like the second place guy. The first guy didn't get back to me. So he got that. I think he was pretty amped with it. So Eric, right on. We passed 1,000 subscribers a little while ago. I think we're close to 1,500. So maybe once we get to the 2,000 mark, we're going to do something pretty cool. Maybe something authentic. You know, maybe we'll do that for a giveaway. Let's see what happens, my friends. But cool chilling out as always. You know, like I say, guys, butt out, vape up, and breathe easy. Know your limits and vape within it. And you're going to have yourself a stellar, awesome day. All right? So I'll catch you on the next one. I got a juice review coming up. I got some other stuff in the works. So we'll see how we get on those. And I'll catch you next time. All right, guys? One big, massive cloud, and I'm out of here, my friends.